All right, good morning, my friends. Thanks for joining me. We'll start our Tuesday with Sufi grind. If there's an opening meditation you prefer today, you can either start in that or find your way into it once you turn on your deep breathing. So take a huge breath in. Feel for expanding the ribs, getting taller, brighter. And as you breathe out, small circles with a relatively straight spine. And drop right down into the sensation where body meets mat or cushion, chair, whatever you're on. Starting small so you can give equal attention to the breath. Getting slower and fuller, finding its way down to these lowest parts of the body. If you're in a cross-legged seat, you might gently be pressing your hands into your thighs. Particularly if you're leaning away from one leg, like leaning to the left, press against right thigh, making a little more space at the hips. And as your circles smooth out, they will naturally grow until you feel like you're starting to scoop out right against the rim of the pelvis. Hi, Lori. With those smooth circles, your spine might be feeling like it wants to get longer, move more freely. And if that's the direction your meditation is heading, absolutely. You can let the rib cage start to circle out above the hips. Or the movement might become much more freeform. You invite breath into the different areas that are waking up. Be mindful not to push into anything, but to breathe your body awake. This movement can grow into any kind of dance your body likes. But then again, as you're feeling breath in body, you might want to stay with that internal movement of the breath, carving out greater space. So if your movement stays small, or even guide you to a still place, like lying on your back, follow that intuition. If you have been staying with circles and you're circling in the same direction, find a comfortable place to pause. I like to pause when I'm leaning forward in the front space. Inhale to lengthen spine. Exhale, reverse your circles. We'll keep going about 10 more breaths. So check in, you guys here moving with bigger movements. You haven't gotten too carried away with the movement, drawn away from the breath. Have the breath be part of your movement. And you guys in the still spaces, check out that your mind hasn't carried you away from breath. It will try to. That's what mind does. Staying with your breath, centering your attention. We get to know the habits and behaviors of mind. And we can rein mind in for our own benefit rather than be whipped around by it. If your movements have gotten pretty big, gradually find your way back to stillness. If you're lying down, you can stay lying down for a few more moments. Keeping the breath big, moving internally in the external stillness. Feeling the echoes, reverberations of your movement meditation. And you might notice some areas of the body not quite vibrating the same. Or some might be a little tweaky, tender. You may have come in with an injury with the intention of supporting your healing. So if there are any spots like that, that could use a little extra attention vibration. Let your attention breath start to create space, light, sensation in at least one of those areas. Pick one so you can narrow, sharpen your laser beam focus. Rub your hands together, briskly getting your fingertips to tingle. If your area of focus is somewhere you can reach with your tingly hands, you might place them there. Otherwise, put your palms either on heart, belly, or both. And we'll open with a Brahmari breath, the bee buzz breath. It's like the end part of the Om. We'll exhale with a humming sound, getting everything to buzz, especially the area of focus. If you're in a place where you can sing out in the full Om, go for it. Linger on the part at the end, feeling the residual vibration. Just one round. We'll take a slow, full breath in. Let's pause in the residual vibration. If you're not already sitting, find your way to a comfortable seat. We'll inhale, shoulders up to ears. Exhale, squeeze the shoulders back and drag them down. A few shoulder rolls like that. Inhale, drawing the shoulders up. Exhale, back and down. Keep going on your own breath. A few more breaths like that. If your shoulders want to move in any other directions, or you want to roll one shoulder at a time, as this area starts to get gooey with breath, this, like every other meditation, can become more freeform. We'll come into neck release with one leg straight. Extend your left leg out. If you're choosing to sit in a chair, you can do the sitting in your chair. You don't have to do the legs part. Turning belly towards right knee. If you're on the floor, tuck your right fingertips underneath your right buttock. So you're pinning your hand down. Then walk your hand out towards the left foot, left hand out. Rolling the right shoulder open, hanging off your pinned arm. Neck hangs off your spine. Start with your ear lined up right over your shoulder. So you've got your head hanging perfectly sideways. Then if you need to change the angle of your head so you can surrender to gravity, you might turn the chin down or up. Just be mindful, the heavy head will tend to fall forward into a more habitual curve. Right now, we'll stay out of that habit. In fact, unwind the consequences of that habitual shape by keeping the heart open, the shoulders back, and the jaw completely slack. In fact, let's add jaw glide, lip slide. Moisten your lips. Stick your bottom lip out just a little bit of a bulldog face as you slide the jaw side to side, lip across upper lip. Winding the tightness in the jaw around the teeth. Free your right hand. We'll take a couple of breaths with lots of options for right arm. Some of you will reach right arm out to the right. And continue to feel into right side neck as head releases. Some of you will want the whole body to be involved in the side stretch. So you can reach towards left foot. Or maybe keep the right arm shoulder height and let it wing back, opening the chest a little bit more. If you find an arm position that works for you that I didn't mention, but it feels healing, invites breath into these tight tissues from neck through shoulder, through the shielding in front of heart and back of heart. Use it. Now, depending where you are in space, some of you will reach through right hand to pull you back up to vertical. Though if you release pretty far, you might simply have to put your hands down, let your head hang down. So you don't have to use any of those muscles you just released to pull you up. Changing sides. If you're sitting on the floor, right leg extended. Aiming navel towards left knee. Pin your left hand underneath your sitting bone. Right hand walks out towards right foot, and then relax the right arm completely. As you start to unwind left side of neck, left shoulder, you'll probably forget about right arm, and it will try to hold on to that tension. It's amazing what the body wants to hold on to. So using your breath to scan for those areas so that you can consciously let go of on exhale. And also to witness those unconscious areas of tension that will suddenly start to open up. And of course, if you want to go back to your jaw glide lip slide, you haven't yet unwound all the tension of the unsaid things from your whole life, well, get back to work. And for the last several moments on this side, you can stay with your jaw glide lip slide or free your left hand. It's often a good idea to choose the mirror image of what you did on the first side for the second side. But then again, your experience on the side is unique. So I'm not too concerned with symmetry here. We're not creating external images. We're feeling for internal experience. Whatever space has opened up for you, take one last full inhale to really soak it with your breath. And on the exhale, start to find your way out of the pose, whether you rewind to come up or you let everything soften down. We're heading down to the ground anyway. Coming onto your back. We'll start with pelvic tilts. Hands on your pelvic bones, below your navel. Feet about hips width apart, maybe a little bit wider. So your low spine will have freedom to move as you invite the breath into this lowest part of the body. Technically not the lungs, but your lungs will expand the low belly into your hands as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, softening the belly in, and start to press low back into the mat. Inhaling, the belly rises, and maybe the low back lifts off the mat a little bit. The lowest part of the back, right above pelvis. Exhale, it presses back down as your navel draws the spine. This is creating a little rocking motion forward and back on your sitting bones. This is another place where that focus on the internal motion of breath might not have a lot of external expression. It might be very small and subtle. Or your body might feel the external body opening up, getting a little more spacious and tingly, and the movement might get a little bigger, more visible rock back and forth. And if you want to add to that, as your low back presses into the mat, you can also press your feet down, getting a little more pelvic tilt, tailbone curling up. Release that completely, tipping tailbone down as you breathe your belly to your thighs. You always have the option to keep the movement small, or some of you are feeling how that tilting of tailbone up is the beginning of your bridge lift. And if you want to take an extra breath to float the butt up, fill it with breath, and then exhale to roll back down. Inhale to release the low back completely. So continue to move. If you are moving towards bridge, I recommend coming up on the exhale breath, coming down on the exhale breath. How many nourishing in-breaths you take in between each journey up and down, completely up to you. We'll keep going for at least 10 more breaths. No hurry if you want to hold a long bridge. Or again, if you're staying with those very subtle movements, feeling your breath. Barely any external movement. Awesome. That's a great way to strengthen the mind without the added stimulus of external movement. How do you keep mind with breath? Well, by practicing one breath at a time. Last several breaths. Those of you working in a bridge flow or holding bridge, maybe you add the arms reaching up overhead, either as part of your flow or while you're hanging out. Hanging out with your strong legs engaged in bridge, so the spine can hang. It connects to the fire in legs and butt. You don't want to hang too much in the low joints. Use your strength to support them. Last full cycle of breath, however you like to use it. And if windshield wipes are okay for your joints, you'll separate your feet as wide as your mat, open your arms to a cactus, and let your knees go swish, swish, side to side. Your head can also turn. Now, anyone who's working with arthritis or metal and the swoosh, swoosh does not feel beneficial, rest your knees against each other, separate your feet wide, put your hands on your hips, and direct your breath into low belly and pelvis. Roll yourself off to one side to crawl back up to sitting. Knees bent, feet on your yoga mat or on the floor in front of you, as wide as your mat, wider than your hips. Hands on the ground behind you. If you need to prop your elbows up on something to stay off wrist, do that. Lift your chest up, lifting out of low back. Exhale, drop your knees to one side. Inhale, center. Exhale to the other side. A few windshield wipes in a sitting position. Movement can be as small as you like. And if there is anyone who can't do windshield wipes or feels like they shouldn't be, just sit in Baddha Konasana and breathe into your hips. Small, subtle movements, or those of you who want to grow it, might lean all the way onto your bottom shin and reach the other arm across to lift off hips. I'm rolling onto right knee, rising onto shin as left arm reaches. Find the balance of effort and ease. Some of you can give way to momentum and gravity. Much less effort. But some days, maybe it's not so safe to just be pulled around, be blown around in the wind. And find a little engagement. All right, those of you in the bigger movement, let it start to slow down. And we'll come to all fours. Transitioning right into dolphin prelude. You can also do this on the wall, those of you guys who can't be on your knees. Coming down onto elbows. Hands wrap around your upper arm bones so your elbows line up under shoulders. If you're setting up on the wall, stand at the wall with your elbows on the wall, shoulder height. Measure exactly the same thing like it's the floor, then clasp the hands in front of you. And then walk back until you can rest your head. Well, those of you on the ground, head on the ground. Those of you at the wall, will simply let your head hang and reach your tail back, getting a down dog leg stretch in your spine. Those of you on the floor, your hips are high. They're still in the air above your knees. Your heart hangs. The elbows stay in where you measured them. So that tight area where they want to move away from, between the shoulders and spine, can receive your breath and start to soften. And you can relax everything here if that feels safe to you, just hanging in the bones. Though I find it beneficial to stay a little down dog at the tailbone, reaching my tail back, taking some of the weight back away from neck. Making space for softness in the upper back, shoulders. Cats and cows. Keep your neck relaxed as you transition back to all fours. You are welcome to stay on your elbows for cats, cows if you're protecting wrists. I'll let you find your own breath rhythm. It doesn't matter which shape you breathe in, which shape you breathe out, how fast or slow this is. Right. Those of you in the straightforward cats, cows, whether you're on your elbows or hands, let's start to sync up. Come back to neutral table, and together we'll inhale into cow tilt or puppy tilt. you don't like to imagine the cow image. Exhale, cat stretch. Inhale, cow tilt, tuck your toes under. Let's get the feet involved. Exhale, untuck, cat stretch. If it's cool for knees and shoulders, we'll add on. Inhale, cow tilt, toes tuck. Exhale, cat stretch to child's pose. Hips start to move back. And keep going back and forth like that. Your range of motion. Some of you will hit that child's pose and your body will go, yes. And maybe stay there for a few breaths. Or some of you will feel the energy uptick as your breath drives the movement. Then you can throw in some down dogs as you please. All right, about 3 more breaths and then we'll all meet in child's pose. So if you want to stay in your down dog or pick up the pace for the last few breaths to get some extra breaths in, that's cool. Child's pose. For this one, knees a little wider than the ribs. So your belly, your ribs are still free to move with breath. A lot wider if you're targeting some hip opening. And walking your hands to the left side, body towards left thigh. If some of you can't be in child's pose, come onto your back. I'll show you banana asana. All right, now those of you in child's pose, if it feels right to you, you can walk the right fingers out past the left and then press into the right palm to lean the right hip back and take a few breaths into the opening side body. Those of you need to be off your knees can lie on your mat with your arms up. And then you walk your feet and hands over to the left edge of that. And maybe draw the right arm across to stretch the right side body. If you want to hook your ankles, that's cool too. And then everyone move to the other side. Child's pose, option to walk your left fingertips out past the right a little bit. And then plant the palm, press into it. You might lean onto the right hip as the left hip draws back. Getting the whole spine to open to your breath, but especially left side ribs. All right, coming back to center, a few more breaths either in child's pose or find your way into downward facing dog. Those of you on the ground can stay on the ground, maybe draw knees to chest. Meet us in standing forward fold. Feel free to visit down dog if that's right for you today. Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Down dogs, walk hands to feet or feet to hands. We'll all meet with feet about hips width apart, dangling over your legs. Knees can be soft, so your chest starts to sink onto thighs. Any arm position, arms can sway. You can hold opposite elbows. We'll add neck traction. Interlace fingers at the base of your skull. Massage your neck with your thumbs. And then just let the weight of your arms hang off your head. Please don't pull on head, neck. You're just adding some gravity. You can experiment with breathing slowly, elbows open and closed away from your ears, and notice what that feels like in the rest of the spine. Soften your knees, tuck your tail down, slowly find your way up to standing. Standing Ardha Chandrasana. Standing with feet parallel to each other, whether they stay hips width or you bring the sides of the feet, the big toes, sides of the big toes to touch, is up to you. Arms up, take hold of your left wrist. Let's start by turning the palm away from you. And again, all these directions go slow. Make sure they work for your shoulders. And then stretch over to right. Rest your head on the right shoulder. Head and neck stay relaxed. As you open up left upper spine to your breath. Feel for the inner feet grounding, like you're squeezing the ankles towards each other. So if your feet are separated, be careful you're not collapsing the arches. Inhale, center. Take hold of right wrist, turn the palm outwards, and exhale, reach over to the left. Neck, head supported on the pillow of left arm. All your attention onto the opening right side body. Make sure you're fully rooted through the soles of your feet. So any swaying, opening that happens in the upper body with breath. Disconnected. Inhale, center. Take hold of left wrist. This time, turn your palm in towards center, or even keep spinning pinky finger towards you until your palm's facing behind you. Arm as straight as you like. And side bend to your right. Wrapping the shoulder, maybe a little more focus here on the low spine by hip. If it feels right to press your hips out to the left. Just keep both feet equal balance on the floor. Inhale, center. Taking hold of right wrist, this time rotating the hand in the opposite direction. Palm in towards you and then maybe even behind you. Wrapping shoulder blade towards armpit. For most of us, that's a very protective way to stabilize shoulder, especially if we're stretching it. If you have shoulder injury, you listen to what your body tells you. Come back to center. Make soft fists, put them on the back of your pelvis. Send your tailbone straight down. Inhale, telescope the rib cage up. Front ribs and back ribs lift up. Exhale, squeeze the elbows back, roll the shoulders down the back. Couple breaths here, and you might feel for just the superwoman shape, Superman, Superwoman, getting taller and taller through the low spine. Some of you, that will start to take you backwards, and I'll leave it up to you whether you keep the chin tucked or let your head go back. I don't recommend trying to hold the neck halfway. That'll invite too much tension back into neck and shoulders. Even if you're going backwards, the intention is inflating on the inhale breath. Finding softness on the exhale without collapsing into low back. Keep the space you created. All right, press down on your sacrum with your hands. breathe your heart up. If your head's back, it follows. Last thing to come up. Sit back into your chair, Utkatasana. Arms forward or up, butt way back. Then squeeze butt, squeeze belly. Exhale, forward fold. Half lift. Inhale, hands press into shins or thighs. Exhale, fold. Again, half lift. Inhale, heart forward, shoulders back, almost like you're doing cat-cow tilts. Exhale, fold. Once again, inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Twisting warrior variation. Step your left leg back into runner's lunge. Knee down lunge is fine if you want to set your knee down. Left hand stays on ground, or if you have a blocker prop, even a couch nearby that you want to put your left hand on, that works. As you twist to the right. Right hand to thigh or sky. Ardha Hanumanasana, hamstring stretch. Exhale, lower your right hand down. Lower your back knee down. If you're on a hard floor, make sure you pad your knee. As you shift your hips back to straighten right leg to a hamstring stretch. It doesn't have to straighten all the way. Now, if you're on a hard floor and don't have padding for knee, you might keep back knee off the floor. Whether your knee's down or up, feel for squaring off the hips, drawing the right hip back and up. And then breathe your whole spine, heart towards toes, out over the right leg. Right foot as active or relaxed as you like. I'll leave that up to you too. And if you're experimenting, go slow between flexing and pointing, and notice how that affects what you feel all the way up in the hip. Deep lunge. Bend your right knee, bring both hands to the inside of right leg. And you might lock out your elbows to let your hips hang. Or if you want to lower your elbows down onto something, maybe they reach the ground, maybe left elbow comes to ground. Or if you have blocks or a cushion, you can rest your elbows on so your arms don't get tired as you breathe into the resistance in your heavy hips. If lowering elbows to ground causes your hips to pop up and you can't really feel them anymore, then come back to your hands so your hips hang. Your choice of transition, either step back into down dog or step forward into a fold. Twisting warrior variation. Left foot forward in your runner's lunge. Or if you had knee down on the first side, set your back knee down on this side. And then twist to your left. Hamstring stretch, hands down. If you're moving into half splits, back knee down, possibly on padding. Reaching your hips back and up. Breathing your heart towards toes. deep lunge hip opener or lizard lunge variation, same pose. Hands to the inside of left foot. You might move your left foot aside a little bit to make more room and to keep the left knee close to shoulder. And keep the breath slowing all the way down to pelvis, especially if you're choosing to lower down onto elbows. Or to lock your elbows out. Or to make any micro adjustments. You're very aware of how everything affects what you feel in the hips, including whether you let the head relax and hang, or you choose a conscious head position. Everyone come onto your belly. Low cobra. Come into a sphinx shape with your elbows just slightly behind your shoulders, a little closer to your ribs. So when you spread your fingers and you pull your mat towards you with hands, maybe your elbows can lift up and your shoulders draw back. Reach your legs back. Curl pubic bone down to mat, scoop your belly up. So there's a sense of traction, of drawing ribs away from pelvis, creating space in low spine. Exhale, soften down. Either stay in your sphinx or walk the hands back a couple inches. Turn on your strong legs. Reach your legs back, curl pubic bone down. Inhale, pull the mat towards you. You might not come up very high at all as you create that length. But soften the shoulders back towards each other. And if you can really consciously create space for your breath in the low back, then you might be surprised. Your body might effortlessly lift, but please don't push into low back. All right, one more time, soften down. Hands might stay where they are, or maybe they move back a little bit more, so they're under or behind shoulders. Strong legs. Maybe your kneecaps actually lift up as you pull the mat towards you. Maybe no lift, maybe a lot of traction. Exhale, lower down. Relax your arms, either alongside body or you can fold them to make a pillow for your head. Bow variation. If you can reach your ankles with your feet, your hands, you bend your knees. Take hold of ankles and then pause. Those of you who aren't doing this, I'll give you an option in just a moment. Now coming into not your deepest bow, but pressing your feet into your hands to lift your chest up and maybe doing a little rock side to side. Oops, maybe a big rock. Happened faster than I expected. And you can roll from side to side like that. Keep your tail tucking so you're not pinching low back. If you're staying with little rocks, it's a beautiful way. Let your belly, not a big back bend, so you can let your belly hang out and be massaged by the mat, connected to the earth. Those of you not holding feet might simply bend your knees and do windshield wipes that way. If no windshield wipe is good for your joint, just massage your hips, belly into your mat, or maybe you have a folded up blanket there for a little extra pressure into the abdomen. If there's no breakfast and no babies in the belly, you can add that kind of soft pressure pretty deeply. All right, those of you doing the bigger tumble rolls start to slow down gradually. We'll all go back into child's pose. You might take a few cat cows or wiggles of the hips before your spine is ready to go into the counter curve. Be patient with it. You've done a lot of work to tune up your sensitivity through your breath to especially spinal movement. Use that wisdom. Never disregard the messages from your body. That is what we're training up here. I'll talk us into deer pose. If you prefer pigeon pose, you are welcome to come into pigeon. Those of us moving into deer, right knee up to right wrist, and then roll down onto right hip so you're sitting on it. Bringing right foot forward a bit. Left knee is still bent out to side. And you may simply place your hands on either side of right foot, like you're doing a cobra, pulling the mat to pull your heart towards foot, and then relax neck. There's plenty of sensation in right hip to breathe in the shape. Some of you, as you breathe in and your spine feels a little longer, a little more spacious coming out of the hip, might find that your elbow can reach your foot or your upper arm, and then you can turn it into a little twist, fist to the right hand. Of course, your elbow doesn't have to be all the way on the foot to get into that shape, or your hands can simply be on your foot, like you're trying to smell your toes. And as you get that close to your foot, it can get really fascinating to look at your chipped nail polish or other stuff you don't normally get to see. Then close your eyes, get more fascinated with the breath in your hip. All right, whichever shape you're in, press yourself back up to your hands. Ardha Matsyendrasana. Bring the back leg, left leg around, and maybe it crosses all the way over the right thigh for your seated spinal twist. Fancy transition. If it doesn't cross or right leg wants a moment to straighten out, that's fine too. Once your left knee's up in any position, twist into it, twisting to the left. If you've got your elbow across your knee, you might choose palm open or straight arm, thumb down. This gets a little bit more chest action, thumb down, a little more back of the shoulder. Right, unwind. Little visit to straddle, open your legs. We're not staying here long, so you might just sit upright and feel for opening the thigh bones wide. Some of you can drop right into a forward fold. Follow your breath anyway. Right. If you did come forward, come back up to come into deer pose, other side. If this transition works for you, simply turning towards left knee, slowly bending right knee out to the side. The action of bending is all done by this like tiny muscle here, tiny but tight. So if it cramps up, just go slower with breath. And then leaning towards left foot. Start by framing the foot, turn on your breath in the hip. And if that guides you into other deeper positions, like pulling on your foot or hooking elbow or armpit into foot, you have plenty of time to breathe and crawl your way into those sensations. Hands come to the ground, easy back up. Right leg comes around for your spinal twist. Left hand or elbow to either side of thigh, twisting to the right. Unwind. And heading down to your back. Some of you will lie down slow, and as you come onto your back, you'll feel ready to drop right into Shavasana. If you lie here and you can feel there's some unresolved areas in the body that just need a little last movement in order to relax completely, perhaps a happy baby or supine spinal twist now that you're lying on your back, or just free form wiggles. As always, if there's anything you're not sure how to support either with your movement or your propping, you can get my attention. And I'll leave you in silence for just about another minute. And if you've settled into a place where you'd like to continue to rest, then tune me out. In just about a minute or so, I'll be logging out. Those of you ready to come up, start to re-deepen your breath. If you can still feel that area of interest from our opening meditation, and it's somewhere you want to put your hands, first get your hands warm, rub them, or simply rest your attention there. If it's still an area of injury, of healing, then just ask it what it needs from you. And then let it be. The answer might come now, but it might come later in the day in subtle clues. Slowly find your way up to sitting. Those of us closing together will press palms together, thumbs against sternum, lift heart. Bow your head towards your heart. May the fruits of our practice benefit not only us, but all of our relations. Namaste.